Hello and welcome to MPS Today. My name is Scott Cochran, host of the show, and we're excited to begin a new school year and a new round of shows. Today's topic is what's new at MPS for the 2012-13 school year. Full day kindergarten is new, and we'll start off by taking a look at this great opportunity for our youngest students, their teachers, and their families. Our MPS Minute will highlight some of our newest staff members, and in our final segment, we'll highlight the happenings at the Central Middle School in its final year. Remember that you can watch the show on your local cable channel 98 and on the school district website at www.mps.k12.mi.us/MPSTV. Segments of the show will also be available on the school websites. The kindergarten segment will be available on the East Lawn and Siebert Elementary School websites, and the Central Middle School segment will be available on the CMS website as well. Now we'll begin today's show by talking about one of our most exciting new initiatives, Full Day Kindergarten. Here to help us understand the impact this will have on our students are Siebert Elementary Principal Susan Johnson and East Lawn Assistant Principal Shannon Blasy. Susan and Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now I want you to tell us a little bit about your background and what you've done here at MPS.
Okay. I'm the principal at Siebert currently. This is my 8th year with Midland Public Schools. Prior to that, I was the principal at Mills Elementary, the English Language Arts coordinator for the district, and worked as a reading recovery teacher in the district as well.
I started off my career in '95 as an art teacher in Cairo, Egypt at an American International School. I taught there for 2 years, and then I was able to come to Midland Public Schools. I was an art teacher for another 12 years, and then worked in a different role as art consultant for 3 years, and now, well, actually last year was the assistant principal at Central Middle School, and now the assistant principal at East Lawn.
That's quite a background. So it must have been an amazing experience to be teaching in Egypt for a few years.
It was incredible.
We'll have to have you back on the show sometime to talk about that. Now, a full day kindergarten. Obviously, the students are in school for a longer period of time, longer than the half day program, but how else is it different for the students?
Our students actually had extended day kindergarten at East Lawn in previous years. We're a Title I building,
Sure.
And so because of that, we were offered some extra services as far as enrichment and development in math and language arts. What's different now for us is that our kindergartners still come in the afternoon. However, our focus on curriculum is different. We have our kindergartners looking at learning the 4 core areas, plus having music and art.
Okay, so in addition to the English, social studies, science, and math, I think some of the extras like would you say the art and
music.
And they also do PE, but they did that before too, right?
Right.
Okay.
And Spanish. Yeah. And it's just an opportunity for them to really explore and kind of play with subjects more in depth than they could before. We didn't have the extended day program, so it's completely new for us at Siebert, but it gives them a more flexible learning environment that's more individualized for each student. They have more small group and one-on-one interaction opportunities with the teacher, and they do have more opportunity for those creative classes, the art and music that we already talked about. And we're able to cover a wider variety of curriculum, but also more depth, provide more opportunities for some downtime, come back, small group, whole group, different presentation styles that they can work with. Again, more individualized instruction,
Sure.
meeting their different needs that they have. The full day gives them more opportunity, in my opinion, for more material in a less frenzied pace. You know, they can go about it rather than trying to get it all in a half-day program.
Right.
We have the full day, and it's more of a calmer atmosphere.
All right, now Susan, what about the theory behind full day kindergarten and some of the research that shows how student achievement is impacted?
Full day kindergarten has been done for a long time, actually, and there's lots of research on it, and it really supports that it's a contributing factor for greater academic achievement for those students, and it's long term. Some of the longitudinal studies have been as far out as to 8th grade. Those benefits still are there for the students, especially in reading and mathematics, but there are also benefits socially and emotionally from the students and how they interact with their peers, interact with their teacher. There are fewer grade retentions in students who have had a full day kindergarten program as opposed to a half-day kindergarten program as well.
That's really important. It's important that it's not just an impact in the kindergarten year, but that it carries forward from there. Great. Well, Shannon, tell us a little bit about some of the challenges. In your building, I'm sure all the buildings have had transitioning from half days to full days.
Well, I think some of the challenges in our building in particular have been minimized. It's always a challenge the first week to help students transition from one class to another, or in particular to lunch. Everybody's learning the new routine of getting from one place to another, but we have adults in place, as mentioned before, we have adults in place that know the system of how to work with the transitions with the kindergartners throughout the day, because we've had them during the day before. I know other buildings would have different challenges.
Mm-hmm.
How about at Siebert?
Probably just having that many students in our building for the full day. You know, we had 2 kindergarten classrooms before, so we had to find space for 2 additional kindergarten classrooms. Our building is arranged in such a way, and we have a population so that we really can't have the kindergarten students eating in the lunchroom, and so they're eating in their classrooms, which poses, again, a new set of challenges to work through, but we've been able to do it. We have wonderful kindergarten teachers and wonderful support staff that are working with us. But they're all things that we can manage that challenge and get through it. And it's really fun to have them in the building all day. The interesting thing for us has been, not only do you have to teach our kindergarten students how to do lunch, basically, but we also are teaching our first grade students how to do lunch, because they were in the half-day program the year before. So, but again, it's nothing that we won't be able to take on and do well. So,
and if you think about it, when we come up with new programs, it's great, but the logistical challenges can be also great. And you think about, you have almost a third of your students who are experiencing that lunchtime for the first time. So that's a big training process. How's it going at lunch now at Siebert?
Much better. This week will be even better than last, and much better than the first. But.
I can imagine. I'm sure a lot of us, we sit at home, we wonder, well, what's it like for a kindergartner when they hit 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon? As adults, we get tired sometimes in the middle of the day. For a 5 or a 6-year-old, or maybe even an older 4-year-old at the beginning of the school year, how do we help them get through that mid-afternoon lull?
Well, I know we've had some very tired students, but we encourage the parents to get their children to bed earlier. And as Susan mentioned earlier, there are some downtimes in the afternoon. Nothing that's it's not nap time. Nap time doesn't exist in kindergarten anymore.
Choices, right?
Right, so choices for quiet reading time, or maybe some quiet art time, or things like that within the classroom. But of course, they're encouraged to be part of the classroom activity, whatever that is, and then, of course, just to get a good night's rest.
Yeah, that always helps, right? Well, what excites you most about having full-day kindergarten, the complete complement of educational opportunities for your kindergartners?
I really enjoy having them there the full day. It provides me and all of the staff and all of the other students the opportunity just to get to know our kindergartners a little bit more. And I'm looking forward to just the opportunities that they have, to learn again, social interactions with their peers, but as the academics. Again, they can have more time at a more relaxed pace. So we're looking forward to really good things at the end of the year as far as their achievement as well.
Sure. Now, Shannon, how about at East Lawn Elementary? What excites you most about full-day kindergarten?
I'm excited for the students in that they get to experience a wider variety of classes. They have music now, they have art, they're continuing with Spanish, they're getting more information from the 4 core. As opposed to the Title I, when they had just more intense math and English language arts. So I think all around they're really getting a nice variety of experiences.
Sure. What can we tell parents, or what advice can you give parents about getting their young one ready for kindergarten?
Oh, I think the first thing, and so much research backs this up, is that if parents could read to their kids at birth, starting at birth, and as much as possible, that's just going to make all the difference in the world when they enter kindergarten.
That's a wonderful thing. Now, if somebody hadn't been reading to their child from the time they were born, is it ever too late? Can they jump in later?
Never too late, never too late. And it's enjoyed by, I even have a 5th grader and a middle schooler at home, and we enjoy reading every once in a while together, so it's fun.
It's great. That, and going back to that structure, getting ready for the day, regular bedtime routine, working with them to know where they're going. And one of the things we had to consider was, okay, we have at least 50 more students coming in the morning, so where are they all coming in, which doors? And so just talking and addressing their concerns with them. But again, the most important thing is to read and enjoy your time with your child.
Good. So reading, and then you talked about the structure, routine at bedtime, routine in the morning, talking through what's going to happen when you get to school, having the students talk about it at home. All right, great. Well, Susan and Shannon, thanks so much for sharing your expertise and information about full-day kindergarten. What an excellent opportunity for our students, families, and for our teachers, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, up next, we'll talk about full-day kindergarten with several of our kindergarten teachers. So stick around for more MPS Today right after this.
Welcome home, man.
Welcome back to MPS Today. We're talking about full-day kindergarten with Siebert Elementary kindergarten teacher Amy Burks and with Brenda McKenna, kindergarten teacher at East Lawn. Amy and Brenda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, how long have you been with MPS and what have you done here at the schools?
I was hired 26 years ago as a reading consultant and then also taught kindergarten at Chestnut Hill. And when the Reading Recovery Program came to Midland Public Schools, I became a reading recovery teacher for 8 years at Longview. And after my tenure as a reading recovery teacher was up, I started teaching kindergarten at Longview and had the opportunity to teach the first extended day there 13 years ago under Pam Castle, and have been doing that ever since.
So the transition to full-day kindergarten wasn't a huge one for you then?
No, it wasn't really a transition for me at all this year.
Yeah.
13 years ago it was.
Yeah, sure.
But this year wasn't.
Amy, how about for you?
My family and I came to Midland in 2003, and I started with the district as a guest teacher then. So I had a chance to visit all of the buildings. Mm-hmm. And in 2005, I started working at Carpenter Elementary School as a Title I, or temporary Title I teacher, and an extended day kindergarten teacher there. And then in 2008, I began working as a regular kindergarten classroom teacher at Chestnut Hill, and then came to Siebert in 2010.
Great. Well, now, what do you think is the most positive thing about full-day kindergarten for your students?
I feel like we have been able to give our students just the greatest gift you can give, and that's the gift of time.
Sure.
I think as adults we think, oh, wouldn't it be great at the end of the day if we just had 3 more hours, 2 more hours to get things finished.
No doubt
So
about
to be
that.
able to give that to our students is just an unbelievable gift. Just more time for them to be with their peers, more time for learning, more time to be at school.
Now, I think some people wonder, does that mean you're cramming more material into those couple of hours, or how is it different?
Absolutely not. I like to explain it that it's the difference between serving your family a TV dinner that you put in the oven or a home-cooked meal. You are still covering the same components. It just has a very different look and a very different feel to it at the end of the day.
Okay, great. Thank you. Brenda?
And I think there's the opportunity also. In half day, it was hard to run a reading workshop and writing workshop every single day with the amount of reading that had to be in, and then the other curricular areas, plus the specials. And now we can run those things every day. So the children are getting more time on task. And research has shown that if they spend 90 minutes a day reading, that their achievement is greater than if they don't do that. Now we have the opportunity to do that. 90 minutes a day of reading, 30 minutes a day of writing workshop, and then other things that enrich that.
Yeah, it's probably impossible to emphasize the importance of that focused reading and writing, extended time together. It's really, really important for those kids, isn't it? And as the principals were talking about earlier, the research has shown that carries forward beyond kindergarten as to when the kids get older as well. It impacts their education throughout their careers. So, now, we just talked about that a little bit. You don't teach twice as much material, but you're able to go more in depth. And what are some of the additional exploratory options that students will have outside of the core curriculum now that they're in full day?
Our students still have the physical education, the music, or Spanish that we had in the past, and now they are able to participate in a regular art class with our art educator as well as music within our class.
So that's a nice addition too, isn't it?
Yes.
What are the biggest adjustments that you've had to make to having kindergartners in your class? I know for you the adjustment was a while ago, but just thinking back to that, or Amy, for you right now, what's been the biggest adjustments that you've had to make as a kindergarten teacher?
I think the students have risen to the challenge beautifully. They were more than ready to come and do this. They have watched big brothers and big sisters go off to school with their lunch boxes and hop on the school bus. So they were excited for the opportunity to be at school all day. And for us, it was just getting the logistics down of getting the children there on the bus with all of the other children, getting lunch routines down with them, and just how that looks differently to keep them there throughout the day.
Sure.
And I think I've found I have to remind myself every year, even though I've done this for 13 years, to make haste slowly, to take that first 2 weeks and just follow the kids. And, you know, we may not get a whole lot done in the curricular areas that first week of school. It's more about getting them used to being there all day, and when they seem to be tiring out, maybe go do some read aloud or have some free play time or go out for a recess. And so those first couple of weeks is kind of following them and taking it at their pace, because this week I'm seeing that they're really getting into that routine and know what comes next, because those first 2 weeks we took the time to do that.
Yeah, establishing those routines are so important, aren't they?
Yes.
And it's really fascinating. What you're saying is that you're paying attention to where your students are, coming alongside of them at their pace, and then once they feel comfortable, moving them forward at the pace they need to move forward at. So, it sounds great. Now, what recommendations do you have for parents, you know, who are sending kids off? Maybe some people are sending kids out, their third or fourth child off to kindergarten. For some people, it's their first time, and that's always, I don't want to say it's terrifying, but I did follow the bus to school the first time my kindergartner was sent to school, and I worked in the school, so it was a little nerve-wracking. So what recommendations could you give parents?
Parents emphasize the academics, which are extremely important. I know the principals mentioned reading to your child from an early age and just continuing that practice. But even more than that, we really want to have the children to be independent learners. So I know it's difficult when the children are young to give up some of that responsibility to them, but as much as they can do on their own at an early age, start to encourage that, whether it be gathering their things when you're leaving on a family trip, whether it be putting their shoes on themselves, just whatever they can do to be independent, so that way when they come into the classroom, they feel confident and can take that on.
Sure. And Brenda?
And I think, you know, it's important that parents make sure that their children get to bed at an early time. 7 o'clock sounds early, but some kids really need to go to bed at 7 o'clock, certainly by 8 o'clock, so that they get that full night's sleep, because we can always tell, especially in that second half of the day when they haven't had that full night's sleep. Also, a good breakfast, a good dinner, healthy foods, that also helps them to hang in there. And like Amy says, encouraging that independence, letting your child come into school by themselves. You know, walk him to the door, but then letting them come in by themselves and hang up their own coat, hang up their own backpack, and just let them know how proud you are that, look at you taking care of yourself.
Yeah. It's amazing how quickly the students become, even as kindergartens, become comfortable with finding their own way in the building. And of course, there's everyone there to help them, but they're able to take charge of themselves, aren't they?
They are.
Well, that's great. Well, Brenda and Amy, thanks so much for talking with us about full-day kindergarten, and thanks for doing a great job with our youngest students.
You're welcome.
Now, up next is our MPS Minute, highlighting some of our newest staff members, and then we'll be talking with folks at Central Middle School. More MPS Today in just a few moments.